Hello. Okay. I'll start sharing my screen for everyone to see. Ooh, okay. So, welcome to the Get the Basics Workshop. This is a workshop for anyone who doesn't really know much about Git, and I'm going to be walking through a lot of different things to make sure you kind of get a good base understanding of how to use Git and what Git is. So I'll just get started with who I am. My name is Joyce. I am the cmd-f logs director. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a third/4th year. We can talk about that later if you want to ask about it. Under Bachelor of Arts Computer Science at UBC. I also have some TAs with me today. There might be more than all of these wonderful people, but you'll get to talk to them in chat. So I have Anne, who is the nwPlus co-president. She's a 4th year Buck student. Ben, who's a sponsorship coordinator, 4th year BCS student, and JP, nwHacks logs director, and he's a 3rd year combined major. Yeah. So before you get started, make sure that you install Git, make a GitHub account, and download VS Code. So you should have done this already because it was in the pre-hackathon checklist. But if you haven't done that yet, take the time to do it now because you're going to get a little bit of time to get that done. So our schedule for today, what is Git, why use Git, and using Git and GitHub. There's also a bunch of slides about other ways to use Git and GitHub, but we're not going to go through that today because I don't think we'll have enough time. But it's a good chance to kind of explore and see what works best for you. Before I really get started, special thanks to Kristen Kwong for letting us adapt her incredible slides. So, what is Git? So first, we need to talk about version control. What is version control? So it keeps track of a history of changes, it allows for collaborative development, and it lets us go back and revert to older versions of our work. So if you think about like something like Google Docs right now, that's sort of version control. So Git is a type of version control, and there are other types that like you can use as well. It's a distributed version control system, which means that you can work offline. So like if you think about like something like Google Docs, like to really use it to your full potential and work with other people, you need to be online. So, but for Git, you don't. So one question that I had, like even as someone like in my first co-op was like, what's the difference between Git and GitHub? It took me like an embarrassingly long time to understand this, but you're gonna find out today. So Git is version control. So Git is what keeps track of your source code and history, and GitHub is a cloud-based hosting service that helps you manage Git repositories. Now you might be like, what is a repository? It's known as a repo for short. It's where Git stores the metadata and object database for the project, and each developer has a copy of the code in a local repo on the machine, and most likely a remote repo on a server. So that was a whole lot of terminology, kind of overwhelming. So let's take a break and talk about why Git matters. So why use Git? So first, I kind of want to take a little chance to ask, like, how do you collaborate without Git? Feel free to share, like, how you collaborate right now. Like, if you've ever worked with anybody, like how you collaborate in the Discord. I'll just go to it, and you can just. I see people are typing email or text through Slack, and then wait a day for them to reply. Email, yeah. Google Docs and Messenger. Yeah, yeah. I'll wait for a couple more and then I'll move forward. Ooh, that's smart. That is smart. I see some people are zip files through Messenger. Yeah. Slack. Okay, yeah. So I will go back to my slides. Some things that I came up with were very similar to what you guys said. So email, Messenger, Google Docs. And, these things work, right? But like, whenever you copy and paste it back into your text editor, you have to like reformat everything. And like, sometimes it's like a huge mess. And then even if you download like zip files, what if you made changes to the same file that like they made changes to? Like, that means you have to like compare everything, and it's kind of a mess. So Git makes collaborating a lot easier than that. So yeah, let's talk about a little bit more about Git. So there are 3 stages of a Git file. There's modified, so it's changed, but it isn't yet stored in the repo. That's kind of when you like save the file. Staged, which means that you've marked that this will go into the next commit to be stored in the repo. And then committed, which means it's in the repo. So committing is sort of like a snapshot. So when you commit, Git kind of saves a picture of what your files look like. Um, if we look at this little example, other version control systems kind of have that first file and they save like a bunch of changes that were made to that file. Whereas Git will just kind of take a picture of like where your file was at that point in time when you committed it, and you just have these different like, so yeah, it's just like a bunch of things that's like, it kind of treats it as separate things almost. So that was a lot. Let's get started. I actually have a bunch of code snippets. I can send them to the Discord, or maybe I'll get a TA, someone dig it up and just send it to the Discord. And they're supposed to sort of help you if you find yourself falling behind. I'm going to go slower for this part. I know I've been talking really fast, but if you fall behind, like, that's where you can really see like everything that I've done so far, and you can copy paste it to make things easier for you. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to actually share my VS Code. So I want everybody to go onto VS Code, or you can use Terminal if you're comfortable with that. But if you are, you probably don't need to be here. But what you can do is open up New Terminal, and we're going to get started here. So to check if we've installed Git correctly, what we do is git -- version. So it's telling me that I have a Git version on my computer, so it's fine. Like, we have it installed, we're all good. So next we're gonna configure Git. And what this means is it kind of makes sure your contributions are identified, and it says that like those contributions are gonna go to you. And it'll give you those beautiful like green squares on your GitHub profile, which you're gonna get into once you get a little more comfortable with it. So what we're going to do here is just git config -- global user.name and then your name. So I'm going to write Joyce. And then you want to configure it to your email as well, so it links to your actual account. So what we're going to do is git config -- global user.email, and then I'm going to write in my email, you write in yours. We don't need the quotations for this. So if you want to check if you've set your configs properly, what you do is git config -- list. And then it'll list all your configs. Here we see that like my name and email went through, so that's perfect. That's what we wanted to see. So what we want to do next is create a new repository. So this is doable from your computer, but it is easier to start off on GitHub. So I'm going to go to the GitHub website. So what we're going to do is go github.com. So I'm not signed in. Ooh, okay. So let me just sign in for a second. It'd be embarrassing if I like forgot my password. Okay, so we're on GitHub. We're gonna create a special repository today. So what we're gonna do, go to new, and then in the repository name, we're gonna write, it's gonna be the same as your account name. So mine is JOITNG. So I actually already have one, but if you've never used Git before, if you have never made this repo before, you're gonna have this thing pop up. It's going to say it's a special repository. So it's gonna be a little thing that can spice up your profile, and you just kind of get to write a little bit of about yourself and like see it on your profile. So you don't need to change any of the settings except for this one. So this add a readme file thing, just make sure to check it off before you click create repo. So I'm going to go over this again, just in case, because this is pretty important. So what we're going to do for this repo name is it's going to be the same thing as your account name. And then we're going to set it to public. And we're going to click add a readme file, and then we're going to click create repo, and then that should create your repository. So I'm going to go to my repository because I already have it. So I'm going to open that up. And what we want to do now is copy the repo link. So we go to this green button that says code, and then we click this clipboard button. And I'll go over that like one more time. You go to this code button, you click this clipboard button. Make sure not to copy like SSH or like GitHub client. Like we want HTTPS. So make sure you're on this tab before you click the clipboard button. So now we're gonna clone the repo onto our computer. So I'll go back to VS Code. And what I'm gonna do is git clone, and then I'm gonna copy paste the repo link. So now it's cloned into this repo. So now let's add some code. So, oh wait, I'll open up the slide because I think it's a nice slide to look at. But yeah, so navigate to the folder for the repo on your computer and open up the README file with Visual Studio Code. I'll give you 10 minutes to write what you'd like to share with the world. One thing that one of the TAs is going to do a little thing to gauge how the workshop speed has been going for you so far. And also this is a good time, like 10 minutes is a really good time to catch up if you're behind, and ask any questions if you have any. So yeah, when you're done, make sure to save your file, and I'll get back to you in 10 minutes. I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen, and I'm gonna check the Discord for anything. Sorry, I wasn't able to see the Discord messages. I will zoom in. And the way you open terminal on Git is so on Mac, you have this like bar at the top. You just go to terminal and then you click new terminal. Let me see if I can do a split screen. I'll just screenshot what I did for you. So it's not working. There we go. Yeah, exactly what Colin said about cloning. So here's a screenshot of what I've put into terminal so far. It will also help you a lot to look at the code snippets, I think. Yeah, because you can just copy paste it, so you won't even need to type it in yourself. So the username, yeah, like if you're making your GitHub account, your username could be anything. I would make it like something not embarrassing because you're most likely going to be sending it to employers. If you're applying for a job, you usually put it on your website or your resume. So I would probably like not do anything super questionable, but you can do it with whatever you want. Please let me know if you have any questions. I will make sure to go slower. We still have about 7 minutes, so you have a lot of time to catch up if you're behind. If you need any assistance, make sure to go to the assistance channel and we can make sure a TA can give you one-on-one assistance. Yeah, I'll show you how to open up what you've cloned. I think this does kind of depend on your operating system, but you can go to File, Open, and then look up your file. So I'm gonna just search for it because I didn't clone it into a specific folder. There we go. So there it is. I click Open. And then that's open on VS Code. And then when you want to click into the specific file we want, you click into this readme.md, and this is the file that you want to edit. Write whatever you want. So I'll show you actually what it looks like. When you go onto like my profile, because I already have one, it'll have like this little like thing that's kind of like a bio for you to share with people when they click onto your profile. So whatever you kind of, am I sharing my screen? Oh my God, I'm not sharing my screen. Let me share my screen. So write whatever you want to share with people, whatever you want people to read when they first click onto your profile. Some people kind of treat their GitHub like a personal website, so you can do that as well. But yeah, just write whatever you're comfortable with. They do give you some suggestions, like this. What you can do is actually just take away these um, 2 lines of like the arrows, and that will end up showing up. Right now, like this just means it's a comment in Markdown, but you can uncomment it and then just answer these questions. That might be fun. So we have about 3.5 minutes left, but I can extend it if we need more time to catch up. Just let me know. Make sure to send stuff in the Discord if you need more time. Oh yeah, so Orange, after you paste the Git, after you, I'll share my screen again. So what we've done so far, we had terminal open and then we cloned it, right? Okay, my things are gone. But after you clone it, open up the file in VS Code. So again, like what you can do is click open, and then just navigate to the file. What I did was search because I wasn't sure where I'd kept it. But if you know exactly where you downloaded it, just navigate to the folder that you put it in, open it up, and then just at the side, you can open up this kind of sidebar to show what files are in this folder. Click readme.md, and then you have your little file to work on. Do you need me to zoom in more, or because I was just screen sharing? Please let me know. Complete freedom, write whatever you want. Yeah, exactly what Allison said. Make sure I would keep it appropriate. Also, like a lot of the time, you do end up sending this, like your GitHub profile to potential employers. So you want to make sure that it puts you in your best light. So we have about a minute left. June, I think the best thing to do in your situation would be to go to the assistance channel and just get one-on-one help with that, because I think they'd be able to help you best, because then they can specifically see what's going on with you with your situation. Extend? Okay. How about I give about 5 extra minutes? Does that sound good? Okay, I'm gonna give about 5 extra minutes for everybody to catch up and write whatever you want. Give a little bit of extra time. So what we want to do with the README file is just edit it. Like write whatever you want to tell people about yourself in it, and then save it. So saving is just kind of how you save a regular like Word file. So that would be Control S if you are on Windows and Command S if you are on Mac. We're going to talk more about how to commit it to your repo and everything after these 5 minutes are up. Oh, we did a lot. Oh, wait, actually, no. In these past 5 minutes, we didn't do a lot. We've just been talking about what we do and how to do everything. So editing the README file. So one of the prerequisites for this workshop, yeah, was to have VS Code. So just open the file in VS Code after you clone it. Yeah, so I assume you've already changed your README file and saved it. So I'm going to teach you how to commit and push right after this break. So we have about 2 minutes left for people to get caught up, to write whatever they want, and then we'll get into how to actually commit to your repos so that it will actually show up on your Git profile. Okay, I'll show how to open the VS Code or the file in VS Code again. And if you're having a lot of trouble on your own, despite the fact that despite what I've shown you, um, make sure to go to the assistance channel and get some help, one-on-one help from a TA. So what you would do, go to VS Code, File, Open, and then what I did was like search for the folder with my README file in it, and which was like JOITNG, and then like I found it on my computer. So you want to do something similar. Yeah, and also exactly what Tony said. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, so in general, a README file kind of is so at .md means markdown, and it's sort of like this special type of like text file that can have formatting, and a lot of the time you'll use README files to like explain what your project is. In this case, it's the only file in this repo, and this repo is a special one that links to your profile, and it's just able to like handle formatted text that you format in your own way, um, and put it on your profile. Oh, okay, so my timer just went off. So I'm going to start the workshop back up. I'll go slower for sure this time. I'm sorry. I was going so fast. For the first half, I'll make sure to slow down a bunch. And yeah, if you have any burning questions, please message the assistance channel, or not message, but react and get some help one-on-one from a TA. They're very helpful, and it helps a lot to have that. So, okay, what I'm going to do, I actually haven't made any changes to mine yet. So I'm going to just change punctuation. I'm going to save my file. And okay, now I've made a change. It's modified. So as you can see here in my terminal, this means that I'm in this JOITNG folder. If you don't see that you have, like, if you don't see that you are in your folder, what you can do is CD and then your folder name. So, okay, what I'm going to do is actually get out of this folder so I can show you how to get into your folder in case you're not in it. So, just you would navigate to the folder that you're looking for with CD. So what I'm going to do is cdjoitng because that was the folder that I was looking for. If your folder is within a bunch of other folders, you'll have to CD into those folders before you get to the folder for your repo. If you need help with that, I would highly suggest going to a TA just because they're going to be able to help you navigate your unique situation. So now that I know that I've made a change, I kind of want to see what files I've changed between my working directory, so what I'm working on right now, and my Git local repo. So what I'm going to do is write git status. So we see that it says it's up to date. It says, oh, I've modified the README file. So we've gone into that first Git stage, and now it's telling me to add it. So it wants me to stage the changes that I've made. So to add add your files in your folder to staging, what we can do is git add and then period. So I'll show you that it actually is staged now. So I'll go git status again. So it says it's modified and it's actually been staged. So that's great. So yeah, I hope you've kind of been able to stage your file as well. So what we want to do now is commit it. So if we want to commit our file, what we do is git commit -m, and then we write our commit message. I'm just going to say changed punctuation. And so now it's committed this change that I've made. So one thing is I know some of these commands are a little bit longer. Maybe you're not as fast as at typing, or maybe like you aren't split screening, or like it might be hard for you to write down the commands. If so, please open up the code snippets doc that we've sent in the Discord channel previously, because then you can just copy paste whatever I'm writing down and make any appropriate changes for you. So now we want to push our changes up to this remote repository. Remember, we opened up that repository on GitHub, and now it's like, you know, on their servers. So what we want to do is actually push it up there so it shows on your GitHub profile. So what we're going to do there is just git push. So that means it's pushed up to a remote repository, and it should be viewable on your profile now. If we want to see, actually, I'll check if it is, because I'm sure a bunch of you want to do that as well. So I'm going to refresh, and you can see that like that little bit of punctuation did change, right? So that means we did truly successfully push up to our remote repo. So I'm going to go back to VS Code. My terminal is still open. I want to see all the commits that I've made up to this point on this branch. I'll explain branches in a second. But what we want to do is git log, and this is actually all the, well, two of the the changes that I've made recently. Oh, it turns out I had another one right before this when I was practicing for this workshop that also said change punctuation. To exit out of this like view of your commits, all you need to do is Q, like press the letter Q, and it'll go back to normal on your command line. So I'm going to take a bit of time to talk about branches, because this is the one thing that makes this better than Google Docs, really. So branching is when you diverge from the main line of development and you don't work directly on that main line. What does that really mean? That's like a bunch of words, right? So what we're really doing right now, so your branch might be called main, mine is called master. There are two names for it, but don't worry, it's okay if it's different. So you've been working on this one branch called master or main, and what we've been doing is just making changes sequentially, right? But the special thing about Git is that you can go from a certain commit and make changes from that commit and then push these changes back. But the benefit of this is really that you can focus on specific pieces of the project when you're collaborating with others. And if you're working on your own part and you realize you want the code before you wrote your own part, you don't have to do that much work to get that old code back. And it also makes sure that you can systematically solve any conflicts between you and your collaborators' code, and you can make the best choices for the project together. Because in that action of merging it back into that main branch, you kind of, a lot of the time, discuss with your collaborators. And if any conflicts occur, you kind of talk about what would be the best thing to do. So what we're going to do now is make a new branch. So we're going to do that thing where it like goes from a specific commit, and we're going from this last commit that we made. So what to do to make a new branch is use git branch and then the name for the branch. We're going to call it new branch. Super original, I know. But oh, I wrote new branch. Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to name one new branch because I think that'll make things less confusing. But if we want to see all the branches that we have now, we do git branch without anything after it. And now we see I have 3 branches because I just messed it up. But I have this master branch that I was on, this new branch, and this other new branch that I accidentally made. So now we want to go into new branch and work on that branch instead. So what we do is git checkout and then new branch. So now it says that I've switched to this new branch. So I wrote git checkout and then the name of my branch. So now I'm actually going to give you time to make changes to this branch. I'll give you 5 minutes to make a change to your README file. If you can't think of anything, just add a new space or new punctuation somewhere. And also, at this point in time, the TAs are going to release that thing so you can get a stamp in the activity banter channel. Yeah, make sure to ask any questions you may have. I'll answer them as best as I can. And yeah, I'm going to stop sharing again. So if we go to the code snippets doc, I'll just send it again in case people need it. But yeah, it would be git commit -m and then your message. Oh, I'll set a 5-minute timer. Tony just sent a really great message of like the main process of what you need to know for Git. So when you type in git config list, you just want to make sure that the configs you wrote were like actually went through. So right before that, we kind of configured our name and our email, right? So as long as you see that in the list, that should be all good. Yeah, so if you're having any problems, like big problems, please just go to assistance and get some help from the TAs. A lot of the time, something might not have just like downloaded correctly, or yeah, sometimes it's just easier to get that one-on-one help. Yeah, so Sim, we're actually going to be pushing the branches right after this 5-minute break. I'm just giving everyone time to make some changes to their README file on this new branch before we move forward with that. Really great comments from the mentors in this channel. Thank you all so much. So skeptical NPC, the part with the username and the email, let me actually show you what that really does. This actually happened to me on my first co-op because I didn't really understand it yet. But yes, you do need to log into GitHub on your computer, but sometimes your commits actually still won't be linked to your account email. And this is kind of what it does when your email is linked. My contributions are not that impressive. I have some friends with like thousands, but obviously you want to show as many contributions as you can. Well, I mean, depends on what you're doing, but like people love showing off their like millions of contributions. So to make sure that they actually end up on your profile, make sure that you're really actually setting that config. And yes, all of this can be done on GitHub Desktop. I love GitHub Desktop. It really helped me out when I was really getting the hang of Git. That's actually one thing that's covered in the slides after the stuff that I'll be covering today for you to explore. 10 out of 10 would recommend GitHub Desktop. It's a graphical user interface, so it's easier for you to really understand what's going on when you're really first starting with Git. That's true. Yeah, GitHub Desktop isn't as nice with branches. There are some things that you just can't really do on it. So things that are a little more difficult. Rebasing is really important when you're working with other people, but that's not something we'll cover today because it's kind of more intermediate. But it's like once you get into industry, like it's something you do all the time, and you can't really do it on desktop, at least at the moment. Yeah, for sure. I do understand that like terminal is a bit intimidating coming from a non-CS background. It's definitely so we actually also have a workshop on our YouTube channel that used GitKraken to teach GitHub. That might be good to check out if you aren't really comfortable with terminal and you don't really want to keep using it. Yes, is also where all the Hollywood hacking happens. If you want to feel like a real hacker, use Terminal. Okay, so our 5 minutes are up. Um, so what I'm going to do is share my screen again. Okay, amazing. So what we want to do now is commit these changes we've made to the new branch. Actually, I haven't even made one yet. Ooh. Let me add like a comma here. We love punctuation changes. So I'm on my new branch. I made a change. I saved it. So what I'm going to do now is commit, stage and commit it. So this is a little trick that I like to use that to like stage and commit at the same time because I'm lazy. Okay. So what we can actually do instead of staging and committing separately is do git commit dash am and then you write your commit message. I'll say another change. So remember, oh, okay, it's asking for another quote. But yeah, so before what we did was like git add. So what you can also do instead of this, if you're not comfortable with it, is what we did before. Git add period. and then press enter, which will stage it, and then git commit -m, and then you write your message. So instead of doing -m, I did -am, which means I'm going to stage and then I'm going to like commit with the given message. It's just a fun little trick that I wanted to show you all. It makes things like slightly faster. So now we want to push this branch to the remote repo. So our branch is actually only on our local machines right now. So we'll need a special command to push our branch up to the remote repo. So up to like GitHub, where all your changes are. So what we want to do is git push -u, which means upstream, and then origin, and then new branch. So I'll just like highlight this again, git push -u origin new branch. So then now you see it says branch new branch set up to track remote branch from origin. So let's actually see it on GitHub. I think that will make a lot of sense to everyone. So now we'll see if we open up this button that our new branch is showing up. So yeah, I will go. Oh, actually, I'm going back to my slides for this part. So, so now our new branch is ahead of master by 1 commit. And that means that we've made a change on this new branch that master does not have. So what we want to do is merge the branch. So we're going back to VS Code. And what we want to do is go into our master branch, check out master, and then we want to do git merge new branch. So that means we're taking all of the changes that we've made a new branch and we're squishing them into the master branch. So you can see that it's changed some files in our master branch. So we've merged. So I'll repeat what I said. We want to do git checkout master or main. It might say master doesn't exist. And in that case, you probably want to do like a git branch to check like what branches you have. And if it says main instead of master, you just do git merge or git checkout main. And then we want to do, once we're into that branch, once it says we've switched to that branch, we want to say git merge new branch. We want to merge that new branch in. So to give a visual, it'll kind of be like that. It means that you've taken this branch and like added it, basically the changes from it to your master branch. So I have a little bit more to say, and because we're going to be talking about a little bit more about collaborating, right? In collaboration, sometimes you're going to have conflicts. Right now, you likely won't have any conflicts because we didn't make changes to the master or main branch before merging that new branch in. If you come across a case where you get a merge conflict, what you'll actually need to do is manually edit the files. So you'll have to go into your VS Code, pick which changes you want to keep, and then you have to do a git add to actually merge it. But in this case, like we didn't need to resolve any merge conflicts because we didn't have any, right? So one thing about that along the same lines with collaboration, we're going to talk about pull requests. So you might want others to review your code before you push to master or main. So you might want to share code that's incomplete. And it's also not that great to push straight to master. It might break other people's code, and you're much more likely to get conflicts like that as well. So after pushing your branch up to the remote repo, like we did with the git push -u, you can create a pull request to merge it with master. So if we go here, we're in our GitHub, we're in this repository, and we actually see that it says that new branch was like recently pushed to our GitHub. So one thing before I continue, we merged it back into, or we merged new branch into master before this. Usually you won't merge before you do a pull request. Usually the pull request is basically like requesting people to look at your code so you can merge. So yeah, I'll go over a little bit more about workflow at the end, but just like a little warning, do not do that. I was just showing you how to merge, okay? So what we want here, we have this new branch and it was pushed to this remote repo. So we want to do compare and pull request. And this is kind of the title of the pull request. You can comment on what you want to say, and then you can create the pull request. So one thing is like I'm saying, oh, I want to merge the changes that I've made from new branch into master. So I'll click create pull request, and you can merge it here. But one thing I'm going to go over before we do that is how you would kind of work with this if you were collaborating. Sometimes you want specific people to review your code before you merge it, or yeah, before you merge your pull request. This is where you request reviewers. This is where you can like basically type in your friends like GitHub account name and then request them. And to approve someone's pull request, you go to this tab. So we started in conversation. We go to files changed, and there's this review changes button. And you can approve people's changes by clicking this. Or you can comment on their code and kind of tell them to change things. So back to what we're doing. We want to merge this pull request. We click this button. We confirm the merge. And we're done. Your pull request has been successfully merged, and now it's done. What you can do is delete the branch after you do a pull request. Some people like to keep them, but we're going to delete ours just because we don't want clutter. So we want to make sure we have these changes on our local machine, though. So like when, let's say like your project partner, makes a pull request, merges it in. All of their changes are on the remote main branch or master branch, but your machine actually doesn't have those changes yet because it doesn't automatically update. So to get these remote updates on your machine, what you need to do is git pull origin master. You might want to do git pull origin main, again, if your branch is named main instead of master. But that actually like takes all those commits from the remote repo and like makes those changes on your computer to make sure you have everything and you're updated. So yeah, I'll just quickly go over team workflow and then we'll be done. I can answer any questions before we go. But yeah, before we do that, shortcuts and basic team workflow. So easiest thing to do, make a repo right on GitHub and then share the link with your team so everybody can clone it. So everybody clones it to their machines, and then someone will work on something and they'll work on a separate branch, right? Because we don't want any conflicts or to mess up anyone else's code. So someone makes a branch, they work on stuff, and then they push their repo up to remote. After they're okay with everything, then they'll make the pull request and they'll merge it. So a lot of the time you want people to approve your pull request before you merge, but sometimes you can just merge it in if your team doesn't really care about that stuff. And so after that pull request is merged, everyone will use git pull on that specific branch, which would be master and main usually, so they can get the changes on their computers. And then you just repeat until your project is done. So yeah, that's actually it for the basics of Git today. I'll go on the Discord right now to see if anyone has any questions before we end the session today. Quick reminder that we have a computational thinking workshop at 2:45, which is awesome. And yeah, thank you all for coming today. And please ask any questions you have in the chat. We'd be happy to answer them.